channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So today I'll be showing y'all how I pluck lace. This is a 13x4 frontal, so we're going to be learning how to pluck a frontal wig. This is the Aaliyah Bob on my website. There's only a few things that you need to make your hairline look natural and to pluck it. Those things are a hot comb. You're going to need tweezers. These tweezers are very pointy. You want to make sure you get some sharp tip pointy tweezers. You're also going to need a wax stick, and you're also going to need a comb because you're going to have to part. Alright, so jumping straight into it, we're going to take the wax stick and we're going to go around the perimeter of the hairline on the lace. So this rule applies for any lace, whether you're doing a closure or a frontal. You want to get those edges because you're going to hit it with a hot comb immediately after. This is just to be able to keep the hair flat and out of the way, out of your face, and keep things neat and organized. So you're going to hit it with the hot comb. I usually keep the settings on the hot comb between 450 and 465. Sometimes I may do 485, but I never go all the way up to 500. I have burned a few laces back in my day, and I ain't trying to do that no more. So make sure you have a temperature controlled hot comb so that you can do this properly and efficiently. All right, so we're going to start on the side over here, and we're going to part out. You can see it like when you go through, you're going to take your tweezers and you're going to start plucking, but you can see it from the hairline where it's really thin and then it goes up to being thicker. Now, I know that usually with most tutorials, when it comes to learning how to pluck lace, it's easy to know how to pluck a lace that's already really pre-plucked and has everything laid out for you. I chose this lace in particular to show y'all on because this one is much thicker with slightly bigger knots, and it's important to know how to pluck all types of lace. So the best time and the best way to learn how to pluck a lace is to have to pluck on a more difficult lace, which is this, a very thick type of hairline. So as you can see, as I'm plucking, I'm not just focused on one spot. I call this the hop around method or the skip around method. With the skip around method, you're not just focusing on one spot. If you focus too much on one area, you will overpluck that area and you will have a bald spot. So what I like to do is I like to hop around. And as I'm hopping around, I'm just plucking, I'm following it with my eyes. So if you look at the knots as you are plucking, the goal is to get it to look more natural and to take more hair off of that thick hairline. Now, there is a method to it. As you can see, I'm pulling backwards. I'm not just plucking, straight out. I'm pulling backwards. So it's more of a close the tweezer on the hair and pull it backwards. That is also helping you pull hair from behind you as well. So you are able to create a more natural looking hairline. It's a pulling motion towards the back, and you're going to use the hot comb several times throughout this process just to see how far along you've gotten. Now don't worry about that little over bleached brown spot right there. That will be color corrected and everything will be okay. We're here to learn about plucking. So now that we've done that part, we're gonna go ahead and flip it all the way back over and start from the top, because we do have the back plucked, but now we need to focus on the overall appearance from the front. So we're plucking again, doing the hop around method. One very important thing to know when you are plucking a hairline on a lace is to not go directly for the knots. You want to actually pluck more of the hair. Yes, you are plucking the knots essentially, but you don't want to just focus on pressing your tweezers and scrubbing your tweezers up against the lace as much, because that could create a hole, and you have to be very careful not to pluck a hole, especially depending on how sharp your tweezers are. So that's just a very important tip. Do not go too hard. Don't be too heavy-handed. Lightly pluck, lightly pull. Don't snatch, don't snag at it. Lightly pull, and don't always just go so hard on the lace. You can pull on the hair and it will still pull out the knots as well. So that's a very important tip. Do not go too hard. So as you can see, we have now moved to the middle part, which in my opinion, when it comes to frontals, the middle part is the thickest part of the lace. Not all frontals, but majority. The middle part is the thickest part, so it takes a little more work to make it look more natural, especially when you're dealing with such a thick canvas like what I have here. Usually the sides, the left and the right side of the frontal are a little more thin, a little more flat, while the top has a lot more hair. So, like I said, you don't want to focus too much on one area. You want to do the pull method. That way you're pulling hair from behind the area that you're plucking and also focusing on the area that you are plucking. Now, when it comes to thicker lace and thicker areas like this, you want to go in a little further back, part back a little bit further, just to ensure that you have like not a thick line. You know, after you've plucked so much from the front, you want to make sure that it looks natural and not like, you know, natural in the front and then like thick and heavy towards the middle. That's just not cute. You want it to look natural all the way through. So you may have to go through and go back further. It's nothing wrong with that. Just don't over pluck. You'll know if you're over plucking. If you feel like you're over plucking a spot, move away from that spot and start plucking another spot. That way you won't be overstimulating that one spot, and your chances of having like plucking a bald spot into the lace, you know, decreases because you have moved on from that area. Never focus too much on one area at a time. Make sure you are hopping around. Alright y'all, time to compare. Now on this side right here, I have not touched it or plucked it at all, but right here on this side I have. And that is the difference. So now we're going to go in and continue to pluck all the way across. I mean, of course I plucked behind there, but I mean like from the hairline point of view, I haven't plucked the hairline point of view yet on that side. So that's what we're doing now, getting it together, hopping around, and yeah. So now, this is the finished results after I have plucked the hairline. Now, you really want to be careful with those little hairs that's right there in the front. You don't want to pluck all of those off completely because that pushes the hairline back. So as you can see here, I just parted some of it off because I don't want to lose those hairs right there in the front. Now that we got the hairline good and plucked, we do have to go back in and get rid of that harsh line that I was talking about earlier. Once you get the hairline to a nice natural look, you have to make sure that it looks natural all the way back. So we're going to part it right there where it gets thick at, and we're going to start plucking that as well. Never be afraid to go back in and do that extra work, doing that extra pluck to get it to look as natural as possible. And here's the finished results. Now we are going to go back in and clean it up just a little bit. It does look very natural and very good, especially considering where we started at. But I do want to go in and clean it up just a tad bit because I'm a perfectionist and I want it to look really good. Now, if you are a beginner and you feel like you've gotten it good enough at this point, then don't overpluck it, don't overstep it. Take your time and keep practicing with more lace. But in this case, I have to go the extra mile and do a little bit more. Just a little cleaning up, not too much, just a little here and there, cleaning up that hairline. All right, guys, last part. So we got the front part and we got the other side plucked and ready to go. Now we just have to focus on this last side over here so we can get it looking more natural. So we're about to go in now and part off, the front part of the hairline as we did throughout the rest of the lace and get ready to pluck it to look more natural. And we're done. This is the finished results of this side right here that we just got done plucking. If the finished results of your hairline does not look natural, then you need to go back in and pluck a little bit more, okay? Because the goal is to make it look like your real scalp. So we have completed that part, and now I'm about to teach you guys how to pluck the part. We're doing the middle part for the wig, so it's a little different when you're doing the part, when you're plucking the part versus when you're plucking the actual hairline. It's not so much of a pull and drag motion as it is you are actually going in and plucking the knots. You're picking the knots with the tweezers. It's a very meticulous part. You have to be very careful. Remember what I said, don't be heavy-handed, don't go too hard, because this is the main part where most people pluck holes at. You're just focusing in and you're eliminating the knots. So you look at the knots with your eyes and pluck them out. And voila, she's finished. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.